Hey there, Regina Yella here, and it is time for the AI Spotlight. Just making sure my microphone was on. And if you were with us on Tuesday, you know that this week we're talking about boundaries. And on Tuesday, we actually talked about some practical ways to set boundaries around multiple things, including client relations. And so today, I wanted to actually show you how to use AI to help you out with maybe what might be a difficult or seemingly difficult letter or response or something like that that you need to use for a client or maybe even a colleague or something like that. So let's get right into it. I'm going to bring up ChatGPT to use today, and I'm actually going to use a temporary chat. So let's go into temporary chat because my chatty knows me very well. And let's just say maybe you have some clients, maybe you have a difficult client. Maybe you've been in business for 5, 6 years and you're like, I need to raise my rates. I really like these people. I've loved working with these people, but I really need to raise my rates. And I'm a little uneasy about doing that. You might start crafting some messages and stuff, and they end up sitting in your draft forever because you're like, you're nervous, you're scared to send it out. You're wondering, am I going to lose people? Are they going to be mad at me? We bring all of this stuff into our heads when we're dealing with stuff like this. This is where AI comes in really super handy. Now, before even going to AI, most people will, they'll type out some kind of a professional email. And, when you write it out, and I've written many of these, and I never, ever, ever send my first draft. So pre-AI, even when I was doing it there, I would write and then rewrite and then revise again until I was happy with it and comfortable with sending it out. Because generally my first draft, just because it's what my brain dump was, it could sound a little harsh. And I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to send, but it had the essence of the information. So it was my starting point. That's what you can now use and put into AI. Because remember, every boundary prompt that you create in AI, it needs 3 things. The first thing is the relationship, whether or not you want to keep it. Maybe you're getting rid of a difficult client. Or maybe you have a difficult client that you're trying to get through that maybe you're trying to help. So you want to keep them, and maybe they're not happy and you want to keep them. So it could go either way, right? The tone needs to be in your own plain words, the way you speak, right? Because if you've had clients out there, they've been working with you, they've been doing lives, they've been, maybe doing one-on-ones with you, doing group coaching with you. They know how you talk. They know what your voice sounds like. If you all of a sudden send them an email or, some kind of a message or notification, and it doesn't sound like you, they're going to pick up on that in like 2 seconds. So you want to make sure that the tone is in your own words, right? And then you also have to have in there, in that prompt, what exactly you want to happen once you send it to them. So what is the response? There's a call to action in this. It's the, hey, we're parting ways, or hey, I have a rate increase, or hey, we're changing up something we're doing. We have a change to our terms and conditions, whatever it is. So I'm going to show you a few different demos, and I'll put these prompts in afterwards so that you can use it. Now, think about maybe a client that you're working with and you're working on a project with them. Maybe it's a website, maybe it's social media marketing, something like that. And the dreaded scope creep comes in. Scope creep basically means, we agreed that I was going to do this. And then you said, well, can you do this too? And can you do this too? And well, what if we add this too? And it starts creeping outside of the box that you agreed to originally for the price that you agreed to originally. It's very common. So think about something like, for example, a bookkeeper takes on a business client for monthly reconciliation at a flat rate. And like 3 months in, maybe the client starts asking payroll questions or questions about something else that they're adding. And they ask, can you sit in on a call with my accountant because I just want to make sure everything is, up to par and everything's right. And can you just take a look at last year's return that my accountant sent me? You just agreed to do monthly reconciliation, not to do all of this other stuff. So that agreement that you originally had, that takes your time, right? And you agreed on the price based on the time it took. And now it's starting to creep out because now she wants more and more and more, which is more of your time. Now, if you were creating a prompt that we'll say is a bad prompt, you might say, write a professional email telling my client that their request is out of scope. That's not going to give you much of anything. It's going to give you pretty plain vanilla. And I have an example right here for this. And I'm going to copy it and paste it into my temporary chat. And it reads, I'm a bookkeeper. A client I like and want to keep has been sending me payroll questions and asking me to review documents that are outside our monthly reconciliation agreement. It's added up to about 6 unpaid hours. Ever do any of that free consulting? I'm right there with you. I've done it too. But you don't want to do that over and over and over again. Not only does it set the wrong impression, it sets the precedence that they can just blow over your boundaries at any particular time. So write a short reply that is warm but firm. Do not apologize. Do not say no. Thank them for trusting me with more and say clearly that the work sits outside our agreement. And offer to send a separate price for it. Under 100 words. You want to keep these notifications and these correspondence short and sweet. You don't want to give somebody a book to read that, hey, this is happening, this is happening, this is why it's happening, and because of this, and I didn't do this. And you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Short and sweet. So under 100 words, casual and human, 6th grade reading level, no corporate language. 6th grade reading level is my go-to when I do my prompts. Why? Because the average American, I believe now, unfortunately, it seems to be getting worse. I believe we're now at on average, a 4th grade reading level. So I'm working with business people. I'm assuming that they have at least a 6th grade reading level, but I still don't want to use corporate language. So let's see what it does with this. So as chat's thinking about it, I would probably change what it has for the heading. Hi, whoever. Thanks for trusting me with the payroll questions and extra document reviews. I'm happy to help with these. Since this work sits outside our monthly reconciliation agreement, I'd like to keep it separate from the monthly fee. I can send you a price for this extra work so we're both clear going forward. I might add something to that going, so if this works for you, just let me know and I'll shoot that over to you. Yeah, I would make it personal, but this is a great start. And now, if you were thinking about that scenario, were you thinking about a much longer, what am I going to put in that email? I did. I would be like, okay, I have to tell them this, I have to tell them this, I have to tell them this. I was like, no, I don't, which is why I said 100 words. So I said, keep it short and sweet, because in my brain, it's not short and sweet. In my brain, it's very convoluted. So I just want to give AI enough information so it can write something that's clear. So now, maybe it's a rate increase. So maybe you've been in business for a while and you've had this social media manager the social media manager has had you as a client for a few years now. And maybe she started out at $800 a month. And her new rates for other clients are now up to $1,400 a month. That's a pretty normal scenario, right? And because of this, because their business is growing, their workload has grown, and they want to make sure that they're actually getting what they're worth. And she's really been putting it off because she doesn't want to say anything, because she doesn't want to lose a client either. Now, sure, if that's you and you're in a good spot, and you might say, hey, I'm going to grandfather them into the price that they're at, and I'll leave them there. But at some time, rates need to raise. Total side note, I was paying my personal trainer $30 for a half-hour training session for years and years. All of a sudden, one day I went in and he said, starting next month, I want to raise it to $35. I didn't blink an eye. I was like, yeah, totally worth it. And we've been doing this for a while. And yeah. So basically he's making $70 an hour, right? Totally reasonable. So when you think about it, as time goes by, yeah, there's inflation and everything else. So maybe you want to raise your prices. So again, I put a little prompt together here. And let's copy that. And you know what? I think what we're going to do is we're going to put this in a brand new temporary chat so that it's not thinking about what it just wrote for the other one. I'm a social media manager raising my rate for a client that I've worked with for 2.5 years and genuinely like. Their rate is going from $800 to $1,200 a month, effective in 60 days. Now, I just told you that, maybe they said that their new rate for new people coming in is $1,400. So they're saying, okay, well, we're not going up as high as that, but I do need to raise my rate. Effective in 60 days. We're giving them a time frame. So it's like, okay, well, we're not going to tell them that, today you need to pay this extra money. Write a short, warm message giving them notice. State the new rate as a fact, not a request. See how these prompts are written? They're written in a way that's very specific to the outcome that you're looking for in the message. That's what you need to think through. When you're using AI, you need to think through the prompt and give it the exact context it needs to give you the outcome that you're looking for. And if you don't, and you miss something like that, it might be you have to revise it a couple times as you're doing the prompts, and that's okay. But the better you think through, the better you will get for a result. Now, little side tip, say you're not sure and you're like, I have no idea. I'm no good at this prompting stuff. Just go into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using and say, all right, here's what's going on. Here's what I need to do. I need to create a prompt because here's what I'm doing. Can you create the prompt for me so I can get this done? Let it create the prompt for you and then put that prompt in. It will help you word this out in case you don't know how to word it out. There's some people I know that they can just spew out a prompt in 2 seconds and it's like, wow, where did that come from? Other people, not so much. I would say the average person, not so much, unless you're like a copywriter or something like that, and you're really good with the words and you're really good with the context and you really have that problem-solving analytical brain going on. You may not come up with the right words with your prompt. That's okay. AI comes in handy there. Ask AI to write the prompt for you and then use it. Again, under 120 words, 6th grade reading level. Let's see what this one comes up with. All right, again, I don't think I would say this. I would put something else in for the heading. I wanted to give you a heads up that starting in 60 days, my monthly rate will be $1,200. I've really enjoyed working with you over the past 2.5 years, and I'm so thankful for all the work we've done together. I'm looking forward to our continuing our work together. This one here seems a little bit sparse. So maybe I would add something in like, and I'm going to speak this in. Can you add a little bit more to this? I really like this client and I want it to be a little bit more personal. I don't want to apologize for my rate going up. I do want them to know that I really care about our relationship. And let's see what it adds to it. I'm adding a little bit more personal to it. Wanted to give you a quick heads up. I've genuinely loved working with you over the past 2.5 years. I really value the relationship we've built, and I'm grateful for the trust you've put in me and the chance to be part of what you're building. You're a client I truly, well, that's a little duplication. I think I would take that out. Thank you for what we've done together. I'm excited to keep working with you and see what we create next. Better. I don't know if this is the final copy that I'd use, but that's better than the first copy. So you want to keep refining it until you get it where you want it. You never send out. I would never, ever say, okay, let's copy this and send it out. I would never do that in AI. AI is a tool that you're just using to help you come up with the words to get you started. And then you're adding you to whatever it is that you're creating. And you're adding your personal to whatever you're creating. So I might want to add in and refine this a little bit more and maybe say something specific and personal about our relationship instead of just, hey, I've enjoyed working with you. Really loved working with you. If there's something very specific about this client, that maybe something that you've created. Maybe it's something about the increase in engagement. If you're a social media manager and you're doing this, maybe it's something about the engagement. Hey, I've been so happy, that we've been able to increase the engagement on your posts and get you that many more views or clicks, clients coming into your business. You could actually add whatever you want to add in and just tell AI what that is, and it will wrap it in to your next version. So again, look at that and refine it as needed. But AI will help you get started, because these are the boundaries where, people are like, yeah, but I've been your client forever and you've never risen. My rates have never gone up. Well, couple things there. If your client doesn't expect you at some point in time, if they've been working with you for years, to raise your rates, if applicable, then bat on them. Like I said, with my personal trainer, it was like, yeah, he spends a lot of time. We do a lot of stuff. I rely on him for what we do. I fully expect that he's going to raise his rates at some point. I fully expect that he's going to raise them again at some point, because that's how business works. So I understand that. If somebody's pushing back on that, or somebody says, oh, well, I can't do that, or I can't afford to do that. If they come back and say, I can't afford to do that, then maybe what you've been doing for them hasn't been actually helping their bottom line. So maybe you need to rethink that. So think about all that stuff, and you can wrap in whatever you need to wrap in. So next scenario we have is a business consultant who meets someone at a networking event. And this is so common. And I mean, it literally happens to me every week. And even not in a networking event, just people messaging me on LinkedIn and even Facebook and even WhatsApp nowadays. And you start hitting it off with a person and they say, let's have a coffee chat. I'm sure you've heard that one before. Okay, let's have a coffee chat. Now, you have that first coffee chat, maybe half an hour, and you chat. And mostly they pick your brain, because they wanted to pick your brain from the start. Maybe it's a casual conversation, but then it's like, okay, yeah, let's chat again. And then you have another meeting with them and another meeting with them. Now you've spent like an hour and a half with them, and you've actually given away an hour and a half of free consulting. So here's the thing. Your time is money. You need to set your boundaries with who you're going to talk to and when and for how long and what it is you're going to talk about. Now, I am a victim of this because I automatically go into consulting mode when I'm chatting with people, because I just love helping people out. I have to pull myself back and say, okay, you know what? We're going to let's just wrap this up, because, it's like, I'm glad I gave you a couple tidbits, but I will not go back again and have multiple calls. If we actually want to collaborate, the next meeting, we actually go in and we create some collaboration and actually have an action-based outcome based on that collaboration. I do not go back with more free consulting. Free consulting, you get on one try after that. So, because it actually helps people understand how I work, right? So same thing for you. It happens, right? But if they do it over and over and over again, then you've got a problem. So let's pick this next one. I'm going to copy that, put this into a temporary chat. And this is the last one. A colleague from a networking group keeps asking me for free 45-minute calls to pick my brain. I've done 4. I want to stop ongoing free calls without damaging the relationship, because I know maybe they'd make a great colleague. Maybe we could do some collaboration. Maybe they actually make a great client, because I know I can help them. Apparently I have for the last 4 calls, right? Write a short, kind, direct message. No apology, no long explanation. Do not use a fake excuse or being too busy. Offer one alternative that costs me nothing, under 90 words, casual human, 6th grade reading level. Let's see what that has, because I said under 90 words. So this might be a little too short, but this might be something you send in a Facebook message or a LinkedIn post, a LinkedIn message, right? Hey, I've enjoyed your chats and I'm really glad they've been helpful. I'm Gonna stop doing ongoing free pick my brain calls. If you have a quick question now and then, feel free to send it by message. I'll reply when I can. Hope to see you at the next networking event. Now, I didn't say, hey, join my program if you want more support. I didn't say, here's my offer. I didn't say anything like that. I just said, hey, it's been great chatting with you. Enjoy our relationship. And I didn't even say, I know I can help you. It just said, if you have a quick question, send it in Messenger. And if I can answer it quick, great. I'll reply when I can. I've now set the boundary saying, hey, we're having no more calls. We're not doing this again. We are going to keep this, business relationship business, right? So when you think about all of this stuff that you're doing, these boundaries that you need to set, boundaries are super important because people regularly step over them. That's why we're going a little longer today, because this is really super important to you and your business. Where are you spending your time? Where are you allowing people to step over your boundaries? Not because you don't want to help them, but because you haven't really set any boundaries. You haven't said, you know what? I just can't do those free pick my brain calls anymore. It's just, I'm spending 8 hours a week on free pick my brain calls. So I'm basically giving 8 hours of free consulting away every week. Is that what you want to do? If that's what you want to do, great. But if that's a boundary and you're like, you know what, I am not going to do this anymore, then you need to do something like this so that you can let them know. You're basically just saying, hey, you're not kicking them out. You're just saying, hey, I really enjoy working with you. I really enjoy our relationship. But I need to, hold on to my boundaries and set some things straight just so that you understand how it is working with me, because I do have other things to do and I do have a business to run here. So AI can really help you word that so that you're comfortable sending that message out, sending the email out, even a bullet script for an actual call, for a physical call or a Zoom call. You never want to read a script, but you can have it outline, hey, make sure you touch on this, touch on this, touch on this, touch on this, so that you have something going, yep, bring that up too. And it's all in your own words because you're live with them on the phone, live with them on a Zoom. You can have it outline what it is you need to say. And that will help you set your boundaries. So moving forward, your business has strong boundaries, and strong boundaries help you create a strong business foundation. So that's what I've got for you today on the AI Spotlight. Try out some of these prompts and see how they work for you. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.